Hey guys, my name is Zach Massey, and for my informative speech, I'm going to talk to you today about Wegener's granulomatosis, also known as GPA. In this speech, I'm going to bring an awful disease to light, so that maybe you can catch it early and warn somebody and save a life. What is Wegener's? According to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, Wegener's is an autoimmune disease that causes inflammation in blood cells, restricting blood flow to organs. Wegener's usually affects the kidneys, lungs, and upper respiratory tract, but can also affect any organ in the body. The lack of blood flow is what damages the organs and causes the most harm to the carriers. Realizing symptoms early and being tested early can save your life. Early treatment is the best option. Symptoms. According to the Vasculitis Foundation, 90% of Wegener's cases start off just like a common cold might. Other symptoms are arthritic pain, fever, lack of energy, as well as nasal membrane ulcerations. Symptoms normally start off very slow and take a while to come together, but once the disease takes its course, the disease takes off very severely. Even though the cause isn't set in stone, knowing the symptoms could help you save a life. Research is still being conducted every day by doctors and researchers to try to find a cause. Doctors who research this disease believe that the cause is a combination of the carrier's environment which they live in and their genetics. Human test subjects are being flown out every day to clinics that specialize in this disease and are being tested and evaluated frequently. Treatment for Wegener's. According to the National Library of Medicine, there really isn't a cure for this disease yet. There's only temporary treatments. These treatments are such as types of therapy, which are chemotherapy, as well as steroid therapy. There are a few drugs that are prescribed by doctors that include Cytoxan, methotrexate, as well as azathioprine. These drugs can only be taken for a certain amount of time due to their toxicity. After having stopped taking the medicine the carrier has a higher risk for another flare-up. After 2 years after having the original flare-up, that's the biggest fear of having another flare-up. The only reason this is because you can only take the Cytoxan and methotrexate for 2 years due to the toxicity. So after you're done taking the medicine, you have another scare for another flare-up. The Cleveland Clinic and Mayo Clinic work together very closely to try to find a cure. The reason I want to talk to you guys about this today is because I was sitting exactly where you were about 2 years ago. My dad came down one day, getting ready for work, complaining about an inner ear infection, and we took him in. No doctor knew what was going on. They just thought, it was a sinus infection. Quickly after that, we realized that it wasn't that, and in early 2012, in January, he was rushed to the ER because he was coughing up a lot of blood. After one night in the ER, they didn't know what was going on, so they decided to admit my dad. And then after 2 weeks of spending time in Springfield, Ohio's Springfield Regional Medical Center, they realized that his blood was filling up in his lungs and there was really nothing they were doing for him. A day later, house doctors here in Springfield decided to fly my dad out to Cleveland, where they have one of the best programs for this disease. When my dad arrived up in Cleveland, he was immediately intubated, which means he was thrown on the ventilator, and for 2 weeks he was fighting for his life. Well, we got up there maybe 2 hours after he did, and they told us that I probably wouldn't be able to talk to my dad ever again because he probably wasn't going to make it. After two to 3 weeks of trying to get my dad to wake back up, nothing was happening until one day they showed a little bit of sign of life, and then every day was a stepping stone. After many weeks of getting my dad back to being awake, they sent him back here to Springfield to start his long journey in rehabilitation. My dad, after many months of rehabilitation, my dad is still fighting this disease and is being flown out for test subject, as I talked about earlier, and is helping the Vasculitis Foundation with trying to find a cause. Hopefully, the reason I really want to talk to you guys about this today is because it's an awful disease and no one really knows much about it, and hopefully that one day you can get to know a little bit more about it. Hopefully with my speech you learn a little bit more about it, and I guess one day I want to be able to spread the word a little bit more because no one really knows about it. So hopefully you guys carry what you've learned today, and maybe if you know someone who has a symptom, you guys might be able to save a life one day. My bibliography was I used the Mayo Clinic website as well as the Vasculitis Foundation and the Library of Medicines. Thank you.